Hello everybody, welcome back once again to the Final Fantasy 13 2 walkthrough. Alright, so this video is going to be entirely building a blue chocobo, my blue chocobo, or the one that I went with. I don't recommend this to everybody, that's for sure. This was just an incredibly time-consuming process, and I mean, frankly, it's just not for everybody. I can't even I don't even know if like all of these abilities are necessarily the best or not, but again, this is what I wanted to do, so I wanted to try it out. I wanted to see how well it functioned. I was happy with it for the most part. So I've already now infused a couple of things. Kind of didn't catch what those first ones were, but anyway, so if you really want to build up a pretty crazy blue chocobo, this would be kind of how to do it. Now, if you notice, there just all you have to really do is pay attention to what levels these monsters are, and it should be sort of obvious what I'm trying to accomplish with each one. So. I did try to get attack ATB charge on here. Now this has actually got roll resonance on as well already. A lot of these abilities, it might be all of these abilities I needed to yellow lock. Because, and I don't know that this was necessarily a good idea, but I wanted to get rid of the blue chocobos, or essentially block the blue chocobos critical haste ability, which, you know, in hindsight, I don't know that that was a good idea at all. I actually really like critical haste, especially on a Ravager like this, because it is pretty frequent that your Ravager in the tougher battles will end up in that critical status. Now, most of the like trash fights, I'd say, where you're just farming really weak monsters, that's not going to happen. But in the longer fights, it will. So. This actually is a really good farming monster. So if you're just trying to, farm for, monster leveling up items, anything like that, this is kind of the way to go. It's just basically, almost all glass cannon. There are actually some defensive abilities in there. So, it's not completely offensive-based abilities there. So, anyways, going back into what we're actually infusing here, so it looks like, well, that's my black, that's my old racing chocobo right there, that black one. Yeah, he doesn't have those abilities much anymore. That resist pain, that's worthless. Actually, that might be the only one that's not good for racing. But anyways, this is a blue chocobo guide, so let's keep hammering out some of those abilities. Actually, we've got a cut in the video here. So you're going to notice I've got cuts everywhere where I kind of bounce into, a different area here, like that specifically. And usually what that means is I did a bunch of farming and, had to try to go, obtain another monster for infusions. Again, unfortunately, with just the amount of yellow locked abilities that I needed to do, that happens a lot. So keep that in mind. Alright, so one of the things that I did here was to actually infuse the pack mentality. And unfortunately, I needed to yellow lock that too. So that means I have to burn 2 of the rare one-time crystal enemies. That's the Chi-Chu and the Nanochu. So that's real tough. So if you don't have the Snow DLC where you can actually obtain those again, I would almost argue that that's not something that you really want to do, because you're blowing, again, two one-time monster crystals on one of your monsters. So again, unless you've got that Snow DLC, I think I would caution against that. But all right, so the next was I wanted to get roll resonance and attack ATB charge 2. I believe that's the yeoman, and then I missed what the attack ATB. Now this is the pink lily to get, I missed that too. Pink lily to get, yeah, I'm doing this so fast. I'm having a tough time keeping up with what I'm actually getting on there. Looks like we've got quick stagger on now. This looks like this is a fencer. Yeah. And again, you'll have to watch what levels these are as well. That's really important. So here is stagger maintenance. That's the Zerg Metro Droid. Those are easy to get in the Augusta Tower. Looks like we've got what do we have next here. Necrosis has the resilience. I don't know if I'm going to infuse that quite yet. Tonberry will have the magic, plus 35%, which that's a definite that I wanted to put on him. So again, unfortunately, actually, with we'll kind of stay tuned to how that magic stays yellow locked. I kind of feel like that might not stay yellow locked, and if that's the case, the order that I actually put the Tonberry on, it may have been a better idea to wait until later. I mean, we'll see. I'm not 100% sure that was a bad idea or not, just because a lot of the monsters that I'm infusing to the blue chocobo actually have that magic plus, whatever percent. And unfortunately, when you try to slap that multiple times, we're gonna either end up, we'll yellow lock, and then sometimes it'll knock the yellow lock off. So again, you got to be really careful. I would just say if you're trying to go for this exact build, just do it in the way that I've done it. Again, sometimes it's tough to see here. Well, for me it is anyway. I think watching the replay of this will be a little more clear on what monsters I'm infusing and at what levels. Again, it's really important. Sometimes I went, there might be a time or two where I went over on levels that I actually really needed to. I don't know that happened very often though. So just keep in mind though that you usually want to nail these exact levels, like Forked Cat at 54. Like, you need that. This is kind of interesting. I don't remember putting HP plus 30% on here. So we'll see if that ends up staying. To be honest, I tried to stay away from, again, now I look at HP as well as like resilience as more of like a defensive oriented ability. Now, it's arguable whether or not you really need that, especially the HP plus 30%. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's the good thing about that, I guess, is if I would have left, which I didn't. If I would have left critical haste on, it would activate technically sooner, because it takes, your critical range is just bigger, so you can kind of get knocked into that a little bit sooner if you've got more HP. So, anyways, all right. So as of right now, this build doesn't look too bad. I don't know that this is the one that I stuck with though, and actually I really don't think it is, because a lot of these abilities were not yellow locked, and I vaguely remember having to yellow lock every single ability. So I guess that build right there was a pretty easy one. That didn't take a whole lot of monsters. So although, again, I don't think that that's the one that I kind of ended with, but that one wasn't bad. At the end of the day there, all you really need to do then is to level up the chocobo itself, because I don't think I actually had it at level 99 there. So unfortunately though, to be honest, now that actually could have messed up that previous build, to be completely honest. And again, because by not leveling it up, there were a couple of abilities that the blue chocobo would get that would probably knock some of those off. So again, I don't want to say that was a good build, to be honest, now that I'm kind of thinking about it a little bit more, because I think a lot of those abilities would get knocked off. I'm going to guess at least 2 of them, just because I think as you're leveling the blue chocobo, again, it's going to get that critical haste, which is a pretty highly ranked ability, so there's a really good chance that it would have knocked off a bunch of those. And then on top of that, I think it gets like resist. It's like resist wind or something like that. And again, same thing. I think that would have knocked a couple of those abilities off potentially. So to be completely honest, I don't think that the way that those infusions looked, I don't think that's how it really would have kind of ended up as I leveled it. So again, keep that in mind. But anyways, all right, so it looks like we're getting quick stagger locked as well as siphon boost 2. Actually, I think I did stick with those two. I actually really like that siphon boost ability. Quick stagger, I don't know. That one's okay. I still think I do like it. It's actually not. I don't think that one's a very highly ranked ability normally. Although it is, I see now above Siphon Boost. So I'm not sure if that happened because I yellow locked it first. Maybe. I'm not really sure though. But anyway, so that's what we're looking like so far. What do we got next here? Okay, Yeoman. Yeah, okay. So the Yeoman here, this is actually, it looks like the second time now that I've infused that Yeoman. And again, because now it's yellow locked, so that looks like, I mean, that just says to me that I've infused it twice. Now, the Yeoman is great for that because it only needs to be level 1, so you literally don't have to level it up at all to get that attack ATB charge. Next. Again, I think this the order is somewhat important here too. You've definitely got some wiggle room. The problem really comes in where if you try to infuse really, really low tier abilities at the end, once you've already got 10 infusion abilities, you're not going to be able to infuse that ability. So again, if you want to try to keep certain abilities that are kind of lower ranked, you need to infuse them early, and you need to yellow lock them. I guess that's kind of what these builds all are kind of based around, is again, yellow locking lower tier abilities and actually kind of getting them, you know, on before you've loaded up your monster with a bunch of infusions. Again, you know, because if you don't do it early, the problem is you can't get it on there, and then you can't even, I mean, then you can't yellow lock it either because you couldn't get it on in the first place. So, again, I think with this this infusion system, it's a little complicated at first. Once you've done a bit of it, I feel like it's a bit easier, but it's always time consuming, unfortunately. The kind of great thing about this game is you really don't need to do a whole lot of this, to be completely honest. Now, I like to kind of go overboard as usual with RPGs and you know, just build ridiculously powerful monsters. And you know, again, that is incredibly time consuming, and although to be fair, it ends up, you know, with a lot of these being really powerful. So anyways, it looks like we're working on the Pink Lily again. So this is another example of you know, me needing a second monster in order to do that that infusion ability. And if you notice there, I kind of just do what so the stats of the actual monsters that you're infusing don't matter, you know, because they're just going to get chewed up anyway. So don't worry about you know, that affecting your actual monster that you want to keep. So anyways, let's keep infusing here, and this is the Pink Lily level 30 to get the chain bonus boost. So again, now I'm trying to get that locked, and here, if you're noticing here, every once in a while, when I do some of these infusions, you get to actually take abilities as well. Most of the time, they're just, you know, the base abilities of like Ravagers, like, you know, Thunder, Fire, that sort of thing. I think I just actually infused that. And then there's other really good ones though, like I think Overwhelm is one of them. I can't remember what the other. There's a couple other ones. I think Ravager actually gets the most of their, like, they're almost like passive abilities, I guess, you know, which is a little different than the infusion abilities. But you know, Fear Siphon is one of those. So and I can't remember what that one does right off the top of my head. You know, it's something like, I don't know, when it's actually staggered, you get bonuses to the chain boost or something like that. Anyways, so again, those ones are actually pretty important though, and especially when you've got, or trying to go for like Siphon bonus too, like I'm doing. Stagger maintenance too. I'm actually going to infuse that one as well. I've heard some not that they're not good things about it, but I think it's sometimes arguable whether or not that's worthwhile. And I've heard it's because it depends on who actually staggers the enemy. So If, say, Sarah staggers, I don't think that stagger maintenance necessarily will take effect from your monster. Again, I don't know if that's true. I've actually just read that, so again, I caution against some of that information. It very well could be true, but I just don't know. And it kind of gets to a point though too where I kind of question what would be better anyway. So, anyways, all right. So next is the frag leech there, and I was going for roll resonance. It looks like. So roll resonance is great for when you've got three. Specifically in this case, it'll be 3 Ravagers, because that is going to increase the. I think it like increases your stats if all 3 people in the paradigm are the same class. Again, this being Ravager. So, anyways, next is Stagger Maintenance 2. That's going to get locked. I missed what monster that was. I apologize. So again, you'll have to. Kind of take a look at the video and see which one that was. Again, sorry about that, but I'm trying to kind of rip through these and explain them really quickly. The next one, it looks like it's Tonberry. Now we're trying to yellow lock magic again. So if you notice, that's happened a couple of times, and I mentioned that earlier. Because so many of these monsters have the magic infusion ability, I think the yellow lock came off and now it's back on. So again, I guess just kind of watch for that. But again, if you're following this guide to the T, that shouldn't be an issue. It should be pretty easy to knock these out. So the other thing I want to mention here right away, or not right away, I guess technically we're almost halfway through this video, but the order is important. But also, I don't know that this is necessarily the best or most, I should say, most efficient way to do this. So keep that in mind. Now, as far as actually leveling the chocobo itself, I have to, again, pay pretty close attention here. I wanted to go for maximum magic. So the first few levels are all going to be leveled with the mana droplets. So there, if you notice there, I tried to learn chain bonus boost because, but because I've got so many abilities and they're all yellow locked, I'm not actually, or the blue chocobo is not able to learn that. So it actually, again, because I've yellow locked so many of these abilities, it's actually blocking these abilities from being learned, which is actually extremely useful. Again, we don't want to knock off some of our better abilities. So it looks like now I'm level, I think this is level 15. So again, here in a little bit here, we're actually going to end up swapping over, I think, to potent materials. Actually, it looks like we did already. It might have just been right there. And that looked like, again, level 15. So we'll see here. There we go. So that resist ice, that was another one where, oh my gosh, I think, okay, yeah, no, we're good. Okay, this is 24. Gosh, I just could have swore that these bonus boosts worked a little bit differently. I thought we went higher before we swapped over to potent materials, but I guess that's not the case. So we'll see. We'll see if this exactly panned out the way I thought it did, or that I suspect it did. I guess I'm potentially just remembering things a little bit wrong. Anyways, there is a big chunk, though, where we do use these potent materials. We will actually swap back to mana materials at the end. But, again, keep in mind there was a pretty significant swap. And the reason for doing this is because if we were to use just mana orbs for these bonuses, you actually get the same amount of mana as the bonus as you do with the potent orbs. So by going with the potents, okay, and so that was level 40, was that 40 to 41 we swapped over? Again, you'll have to bear with me here, and I have to apologize a little bit. It's really difficult to make out what levels what when I'm making these changes over to the different materials. So again, I apologize for that. It's just difficult to actually see what level these are. But anyways, so again, it does look like we've swapped back. I almost wonder if this is the final leveling. I actually had a cheat sheet here where I looked at all of the different levels and what the bonuses were. Sorry. Yeah, I don't think this is right. So if you notice there, I've got critical haste on, and I don't think that is one of the the bonuses that I ended up sticking with. So unfortunately, it looks like I wanted to. This might be a case of pay more attention to what materials I'm using as opposed to what abilities I've got learned. Because again, I think this actually is going to change. I don't think that I stuck with critical haste. So the chocobo that I finally built, what I'm guessing I did here was I probably locked, you know, every single ability that I wanted to get just to block critical haste. And again, I think that's what I ended up doing. We'll see here in a little bit if that's really kind of how it shook out. But again, I think it's a little bit more important now to check on what actual materials that we're using. So again, we're back to mana essences, and I think that's that should be the rest of the leveling, to be honest. I think it's all crystal or mana items from here on out. So basically, you start out with mana items, get to like, I think that was 15. And then from 15 to 16, that's when you swap over to the potents, and you stay with potents all the way, I believe, again, until 40. And then level 40 to 41, that's where you switch back to mana crystals. So, and then it should be mana crystals from here on out. Now, it looks like I've run out of materials. So, oh, yeah, okay. So here we're starting over. So let's just make sure that we've done this right. Alright, so 8, 9, 10. That ability got blocked. Okay, so that's only level 10. Okay, so again, stay tuned. There's my guy. Chain bonus boost, stagger maintenance, magic, and strength. Yeah, I'm gonna guess I need to yellow lock more of these abilities, and then finish leveling. I think that's what I ended up doing at the end. So again, stay tuned here. All right, so this is we did leave him at level 10, and so we're locking chain bonus boost 2, which again makes sense. I think that's a lower tier ability than critical haste. So yeah, so I think that's what I ended up doing. If you notice there, when I leveled the chocobo almost all the way up to 99, there I had that critical haste that stuck on there, unfortunately, and you know it had to have pushed off something else. So again, we just need to get these all yellow locked in order to block that. Now again, I mentioned this before, I don't know if that was actually a great idea, because I actually love critical haste on a Ravager. I just think that's it's super common that you're going to end up with, you know, in critical status when you're just, you know, trying to hammer on these, you know, some of the tougher fights. So, again, keep that in mind. Anyways, all right, so we're leveling another Zwerg Metro Droid. Again, I'm going to assume this is to get Stagger Maintenance 2 locked. So I didn't catch what level that was, so we'll see here when I actually go to infuse it. Yeah, 20. Okay. Easy enough. Again, those are pretty easy to get a hold of. Now that's going to lock Stagger Maintenance 2, as well as the Magic plus 20%, which again, mentioned a couple of times. You're going to get those, the lock on your Magic. So there, okay, now if you notice here that the Magic was already yellow locked, but since it was lower, or it was a lower tier ability, now it's still yellow locked, but it's a 35%. So it was 20% before, it's now the 35%. So again, pretty important. So if you actually try to lock another magic bonus on that, it'll actually unlock it. So again, you just gotta be kind of a little bit careful with that kind of stuff, or I should say, with multiple versions of the same infusion ability. So anyways, all right, here's our level 10 blue chocobo. I don't think I'm completely done with these infusions, so let's. Actually, it looks like I got a little bit of yet another cut in the video coming up here, so I assume that means we're going to either level or actually it'll probably be more infusions now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, because it's going to be a short cut. Boy, taking a bit of time here. Let's go, buddy. Let's move on with the show. We got infusions to do. I'm kind of curious though. I don't think 10 is where I swap over. I mean, it could be. We'll see as far as materials go. So that'll be, it's kind of an interesting spot for me to stop at 10, I guess is kind of what I'm saying. Feels a little strange, but we'll see. guessing we don't want improved counter on our Ravager. Alright, so here's our cut. Alright, so let's keep moving on with these infusions. Alright, let's find our guy. That can't be right? We're back to level 1? Okay, I guess so. I guess, so what I did, which this is going to look goofy, what I actually did was I did a lot of infusions after, I would level a bunch, do a bunch of infusions, and then kind of see what it looked, or how it looked, and then I'd restart my game without saving, just because, again, I was actually super gun shy that I was going to screw something up and lose a ton of time on my my monster. So again, now this does look a little goofy because now we're working with we're back to working with this level 1 chocobo. So that's why, again, I have to apologize. It looks goofy. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I did it. And again, it was just to try to avoid, you know, blowing a bunch of time on a screwed up monster, which, you know, that I probably wouldn't have been happy with. So again, that's why it kind of looks goofy. So anyways, all right, so here we're back to level 10. We'll see here if I continue using these mana droplets. Nope, so it looks like we're going to stop at 10 again. I'm just kind of looking at the abilities that I've got. I know that I'm going to need to lock more of these. So hopefully I will do that here. Although it looks like, okay, yeah. So this is one of those times where I was like, okay, I kind of know how we're going to keep going from here, and I think we're safe enough to save. Which again, I think is actually a good idea too. It can be tough too, especially when you've got a bunch of abilities that you need to yellow lock. It can be tough to kind of commit to saving like this, but again, I guess at this point I was finally confident that I wasn't going to screw something up. So, anyways, all right. So we're getting that Zerg Metro Droid back on. That's going to again lock the stagger maintenance as well as the magic plus 20%. Again, it looks a little disjointed, and again, I have to apologize for that. It's just this process is super complicated, and especially when you're trying to yellow lock as many abilities that I did. And so, you know, again, it looks kind of goofy. But there's the chain bonus boost lock from the yellow or pink lily, sorry. So it looks, gosh, this looks like we're almost done. Yeah, I just gotta think that we're almost done. I mean, so many of those abilities were yellow locked that there's just not going to be much room for anything else. So, all right. So it looks like the final monster that I'm sticking on there is the Necrosis, and that's got the resilience plus 40%. Now, the good thing about that one is that resilience is a really high priority infusion. So there's a good chance that I won't have to infuse another Necrosis. And gosh, I hope I didn't have to, but it looks like I might. Reason being is the Necrosis is disturbingly expensive to actually level up. Oh man, and I did. Okay, so it does look like I needed to yellow lock that resilience. So now it should be obvious. This is it. Maybe it's not obvious from how kind of crazy this video has played out, but now all of my abilities are yellow locked. And so that's going to literally block any ability that you would potentially learn with a blue chocobo. So again, now take a look here. We're at level 10, going to level 11. I think this is where we swap over to potence. Yes. Okay. So earlier on in the video, I thought it was actually 15, but I think I just didn't see very well. But again, for the blue chocobo, if you're going for as much magic as you can possibly get. Again, go all the way up to 10 with those mana materials, and then swap over to potence, because again, we're actually getting the same amount of mana on these bonuses that we would if we were using the mana version of the components anyway. So we're just getting extra stats, basically. We're getting extra strength, we're getting extra HP, on top of what we would get with those mana materials. So again, keep that in mind. That's why I did that. And I believe, again, that this goes up to level 40, and at level 40, which is right here, so once we get to Blizzaga, we need to swap back to mana materials. So in this case, back to mana orbs, because we're, again, at level 40. So 40 to 41 mana, and it should be mana from here on out. There's your block on critical haste. So again, I'm going to guess that critical haste would have overwritten a resilience. I could be wrong on that, but you know, there's also maybe a case where I was kind of gun shy to try that. I'm not really sure. Although I suspect, I don't know, I feel like I would have tested that, but maybe not. So maybe it was more of a you know, better safe than sorry, and just, you know, slap another necrosis on there. Again, though, doing that is insanely expensive. So it's a bit of an odd choice, especially if that resilience would have blocked the critical haste, which again, I don't know if it does. So if it doesn't, then, you know, this is the way to do it. But if not, you know, that's the other thing. You could try it out. If resilience blocks critical haste, you're good to go, because I don't think any of the other abilities that the blue chocobo learns it could knock resilience plus 40% off. So again, keep that in mind. I guess you can always try it out, you know, especially if you're hurting for cash, which I would totally understand if that was the case, because again, this is an insanely, those necrosis are insanely expensive to actually level up to 70. So yeah, so anyways, all right, so we're at level 84. I've obviously ran out of mana materials, mana crystals in particular. Mana crystals are actually really difficult to farm, unfortunately. So again, this is it's like every aspect of this is just not fun. It's just a ton of farming to get all this stuff. Obviously, by yellow locking all of this stuff, it's super time consuming, because you have to, you know, capture a lot of these monsters twice. So yeah, I mean, it's just, again, it's a real undertaking to try to get the blue chocobo exactly this way. Now, again, I just have to be honest. I don't think that if I was to do this again, I would get rid of critical haste. I just think that that's too useful of an ability on a Ravager. So that's my 2 cents, I suppose, on that. I guess it's kind of a do as I say, not as I do type of deal. This is obviously a different. Well, that was yeah, that was a different chocobo. I think that was my original blue. But anyways, all right. So it looks like I've farmed up a few more mana crystals now. To farm up mana crystals, there's different ways of doing it. Yeah, so yeah, I've got another cut in my video, which means I leveled some more, and then I went out and farmed more, and then I leveled more and I farmed more. I just repeated that process because, again, these mana crystals are insanely hard to come by. So basically, you need to change the weather so that you're fighting the Seath type enemies out on the Arcrout Steppe. So anyways, here's our final stats: 1331 magic, 533 strength. 5,419, so it's very low HP for this chocobo, to be completely honest. So that's, I mean, this is your glass cannon for sure. The only defensive stat on there at all is that resilience plus 40%. So yeah, that's rough stuff. I mean, it is what it is. I actually loved it, and I was really happy with the performance. So I mean, this guy's a beast now. But anyways, like I was saying with the mana crystals, so you have to farm the. You don't have to, I guess. There's other ways to get them, but one of the better ways to farm them is actually, you know, change the weather to what is this? Is this stormy? I always forget. But you got to make the Seath enemies appear, and then you have to fight the. No, I'm not gonna remember their names either. It's not these guys, though. I'll tell you that. So there's some goofy thing that put up a magic barrier, and they're ridiculous to take down. There's probably a better way to farm them than the way that I went about it, to be honest. Yeah, so I actually don't even know, like, what you almost need a decent monster to actually farm those guys effectively, just because they're kind of a nightmare, honestly, to get. So again, not an undertaking for the faint of heart. It's brutal. But anyways, all right. So the finishing touches here on the chocobo. For one thing, we need to infuse a bunch of commando monsters. So I'm not sure if I've actually already done that. I guess we'll take a look here. But the other thing is I'm just trying to knock out some of these abilities that they haven't learned. So it looked like I was this a bomb that I'm infusing? And again, you know, just trying to get some more of the Ravager abilities for this thing. and that's just going to help. It's going to be overall more effective against more monsters. You know, it'll you know, if you teach it Fire 3, it's going to be able to use Fire 3 on the enemies that are weak against fire, as opposed to you know, some of the base abilities that it's got, say, you know, Thunder 3. So again, you know, or Thundaga, you know, whatever it is. So again, you know, it's a good way to kind of knock out some of the abilities that it doesn't naturally get. So yeah, so it's pretty important to do. The other one is you need to do 99 levels of commandos. I don't know if I don't know how many levels of commandos I've actually infused into this thing, but I believe you get the, I want to say it's the Vigor ability. Don't quote me on that again, but because I don't remember which ability it actually is. So again, sorry about that, but I'm a forgetful guy. So, anyways, all right. So it's got Feeder Siphon, the Ravager bonus boost there, a bunch of the Blitz abilities. A lot of those I wasn't real enthusiastic about. I think that the Blitz abilities are more. Here we go. So here's infusing the commandos, and this is gonna get us Vigor. That's what I thought. Okay. So again, now if you saw there, I only infused one goblin. So that means I either infused more of them that I did off camera, or because of all of the other monsters that I infused in, it added up to 99 levels or more of commandos. So again, very important to add to your Ravager. Just kind of a, you know, a nice little finishing touch. But anyways, I'm out of time. Hope this guide was helpful, and hopefully it wasn't too confusing. I confused myself a couple times. But as always, thanks for watching.